The Galaxy Alliance Academy floated serenely in the void, a magnificent structure of gleaming metal and translucent force fields that sparkled with the light of 1,000 distant stars. The station rotated gently, maintaining its artificial gravity at a level that accommodated most of the diverse species that called it home during their educational cycles. It was the pride of the Alliance, a testament to interspecies cooperation and the sharing of knowledge across the vastness of space. In the 427th cycle, since the formation of the Alliance, the Academy was bustling with activity as students from across the galaxy prepared for a new term. Among them was Silb, a three-hearted Trilaxian whose blue, translucent skin rippled with excitement and apprehension. Today was orientation day, and Silb was eager to learn more about the mysterious humans who had recently joined the Academy. Silb slithered through the corridors, the suction cups on their tentacles making soft popping sounds against the polished floor. Their three hearts beat in an asynchronous rhythm, a biological quirk that allowed Trilaxians to maintain consciousness even under extreme stress. This evolutionary adaptation had served their species well when they were prey animals on their home planet. But in the safety of the Academy, it merely gave Silb a distinctive gait that other students could recognize from a distance. "Exil, wait up!" called a voice from behind. Silb turned, their formal name echoing in the corridor. Most species couldn't pronounce the full 37 syllables of a Trilaxian name, so they adopted shorter versions for interspecies communication. Plick, a small, furry Gresnik with 6 eyes, arranged in a circle around their head, scurried up to Silb. "Have you heard the news? The humans are bringing their pets to the Cultural Exchange Day." Silb's skin turned a pale shade of lavender, indicating confusion. "Pets? What are pets?" Plick's fur stood on end, a sign of agitation among Gresniks. "They're other Earth species that the humans keep for companionship. They're from a death world. Silb, a death world." The term death world sent a ripple of anxiety through Silb's membranes. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, a planet with such harsh conditions that most galactic species would perish within minutes without protective gear. Humans were one of the few species to evolve on such a planet and survive, which made them objects of both fascination and fear among the Academy's population. "But why would they bring other species here? Isn't that against quarantine protocols?" Silb asked, their voice vibrating with concern. "Apparently, Principal Zorbnak approved it as part of the Cultural Exchange Initiative," Plick replied, their 6 eyes blinking in unison. "The announcement just went out this morning. Look." Plick handed Silb a holographic tablet. The screen flickered to life, displaying the official announcement. "Attention, all students and faculty. 427th cycle. Rotation. 73. Cultural Exchange. Day announcement. In accordance with the Charter of Educational Rights, Section 17.3, regarding the preservation and celebration of diverse cultural practices, the administration has approved the inclusion of Terran pets in this cycle's Cultural Exchange Day. Human students are permitted to bring domesticated companion species from Earth, provided they meet all safety and health protocols as established by the Xenobiology Department. All non-human students are encouraged to attend and learn about this unique aspect of Terran culture. Safety measures will be in place. Note: this is a voluntary event. Students who wish to abstain may utilize the alternative study centers during the scheduled hours. Zorbnak Principal, Galaxy Alliance Academy. Silb's skin rippled with a mix of fear and curiosity. "What exactly are these pets? Are they sentient?" "Not fully sentient, from what I understand," Plick replied, scratching one of their ears with a hind leg. "But they're from Earth, so they must be dangerous. I heard some are carnivores." Before Silb could respond, a commotion erupted further down the corridor. A group of students had gathered around another holographic display, and the reactions were varied and dramatic. A gelatinous student had melted into a puddle of anxiety, while a whirling student was spinning so rapidly they were creating a small vortex in the corridor. Several other students of various species were displaying their respective distress signals, flashing bioluminescence, releasing defensive spores, or simply fainting. Silb and Plick approached cautiously. The display showed images of Earth pets, creatures with fur, scales, and feathers, some with sharp teeth, others with claws, creatures that flew, swam, or ran on multiple limbs. "That's a dog," explained a human student who was trying to calm the others. Tara Jackson was her name, if Silb remembered correctly. She was pointing to an image of a four-legged creature with fur and a mouth full of gleaming teeth. "They're companions, not threats. They've been domesticated for thousands of Earth years." "But it has biological weapons on its face," exclaimed a photosynthetic student named Lip, whose leaf-like appendages were curling in fear. "Those are just teeth for eating," Tara explained patiently. "Brutus is very gentle. He's my emotional support animal." "You need emotional support from a predator?" gasped a hovering gaseous student, whose cloudy form was turning a dark shade of green with anxiety. "Look," Tara said, swiping to another image. "This is Pancake, my cat. She's even more harmless." The image showed a smaller furry creature, with pointed ears and slitted eyes, that seemed to glow with an inner intelligence. It had sharp-looking claws extended from its paws, and a mouth that, while smaller than the dog's, still contained visible teeth. "That one looks like it's planning something," Plick whispered to Silb. "Look at those eyes." Silb had to admit there was something unsettling about the creature's gaze, but also something fascinating. It seemed to possess a quiet dignity, a self-assurance that was almost regal. "And this is Professor Quivix's snake, Noodle," Tara continued, showing an image of a long, tubular creature covered in scales. This announcement caused a wave of panic to sweep through the gathered students. A snake, apparently, was a particularly feared Earth predator, despite Tara's insistence that Noodle was a ball python, and completely harmless unless you're a small rodent. The phrase, "unless you're a small rodent," did little to reassure the rodential students, who promptly evacuated the corridor in a squeaking stampede. "There will also be smaller pets," Tara pressed on, seemingly oblivious to the growing panic. "Hamsters, gerbils, fish, and I think someone is bringing a ferret." Each new creature mentioned added to the chorus of distress. By the time Tara finished her impromptu presentation, half the students had fled, and the other half were in various states of biological distress. Silb, however, remained. Their scientific curiosity was piqued. These pets were clearly important to humans, and if the Galaxy Alliance was to truly understand its newest members, then these creatures would need to be studied. "I'll be there," Silb said suddenly, surprising even themselves with the declaration. "For science." Tara beamed, her flat teeth visible in what humans called a smile, a gesture that most other species found vaguely threatening. "Great! It's going to be educational and fun, I promise." As Tara walked away, Plick turned to Silb with all six eyes wide. "Are you insane? Those things will eat you." Silb's skin took on a determined shade of deep blue. "No, they won't. I'll prepare properly. This is an opportunity to understand humans better. And if these pets are really so dangerous, shouldn't we know more about them?" Plick's fur flattened in resignation. "Fine, but I'm not coming, and I suggest you write out your will before attending." Silb waved a dismissive tentacle. "Don't be so dramatic. What's the worst that could happen?" Later that day, an emergency meeting was convened in the Academy's secondary auditorium. Almost every non-human student was in attendance, their agitation evident in the cacophony of sounds, smells, and visual displays that filled the room. At the center of the stage stood Phaz, a crystalline being whose faceted surface reflected the lights in fractured patterns. as the elected representative of the non-human student council. Faz had called the meeting to address the pet crisis, as it was now being termed. "Order, please!" Faz's voice resonated through the room, the natural acoustics of their crystalline form amplifying the sound. "We need to discuss this rationally." The noise gradually subsided, though the tension remained palpable. "We have compiled information on the Earth species that will be present at the Cultural Exchange Day," Faz continued, projecting a holographic display above the stage. "Based on the registration forms submitted by human students and faculty, we can expect the following: 23 dogs of various breeds, 17 cats, 5 snakes, 12 small rodents categorized as pocket pets, 3 birds, and 1 creature called a ferret, which appears to be some kind of elongated predator." Images of each type of animal appeared in the display, causing renewed murmurs of concern. "The question before us is simple," Faz said, their facets glinting. "Do we boycott the event entirely, or do we establish safety protocols and attend under protest?" A magnetic student named Gray hovered forward, their metallic body suspended in the air by the station's electromagnetic field. "I propose we demand the event be cancelled. These creatures are a clear violation of the Academy's safety regulations." "The administration has already approved it," countered a bioluminescent student, their skin flashing with patterns of light as they spoke. "And technically, under the Charter, they have the right to showcase their cultural practices." "Cultural practices!" scoffed a tunneler student, their powerful digging claws clicking against the floor. "Keeping predators as companions isn't culture. It's insanity." The debate continued, growing more heated. Some students argued for a complete boycott, others for attendance with protective gear, and a small minority expressed curiosity about the Earth species. Silb, who had been quietly observing from the back, finally slithered forward. "I think we're approaching this wrong," they said, their voice soft but clear. "We're making assumptions based on fear rather than knowledge." All eyes, sensory organs, and detection apparatuses turned to Silb. "I've been researching Earth pets since the announcement," Silb continued, projecting their own data onto the main display. "Yes, many of them evolved as predators, but they've been selectively bred by humans for thousands of years to be companions. They're domesticated, which means their aggressive instincts have been significantly reduced." "That doesn't mean they're safe," Gree objected, sparks flying from their metallic form. "A predator is still a predator, no matter how domesticated it claims to be." "I'm not saying we shouldn't be cautious," Silb clarified, their skin pulsing with earnest blue waves. "But I am saying we should approach this as scientists and diplomats, not as frightened prey species. The humans are important members of the Alliance now, and understanding their relationship with these pets could provide valuable insights into their psychology and culture." A thoughtful silence fell over the assembly. Silb had made a valid point. The Academy was, after all, an institution of learning. "What do you propose, then?" Faz asked, their crystalline structure refracting light in contemplative patterns. "I propose that a small delegation of volunteers attend the event, equipped with appropriate safety measures." Silb replied, "We can document the behavior of these pets and their interactions with humans, then share our findings with the rest of the student body. This way, we make an informed decision rather than an emotional one." The proposal was met with a mix of reactions, but after further discussion, a compromise was reached. A delegation of 12 students from various species would attend the Cultural Exchange Day, while the rest would monitor from a safe distance via the Academy's surveillance system. Silb was unanimously elected to lead the delegation, a responsibility they accepted with a mixture of pride and trepidation. As the meeting adjourned, Plick approached Silb with a skeptical expression. "You've volunteered us for potential annihilation," Plick said, their fur bristling. "I hope you have a good plan." "The best science always involves some risk," Silb replied, their skin glowing with excitement. "And yes, I have a plan. Meet me in Lab 7 after final rotation. We're going to prepare. In the days leading up to the cultural exchange event, SILB threw themselves into research. They studied every piece of information the Academy database had on Earth's domesticated species, analyzed their behaviors, dietary habits, and potential threats, and developed a series of protective measures for the delegation. Lab 7 became their headquarters, filled with diagrams, holographic projections, and prototype defensive gear. SILB had designed specialized force field generators, calibrated to repel specific threats. One for teeth, another for claws, and a third for any projectile bodily fluids or excretions. They had also prepared emergency escape routes, distraction devices, and, as a last resort, a small canister of sedative gas that was harmless to most galactic species, but would render Earth animals temporarily unconscious. "Isn't this excessive?" asked one of the delegation members, a fungal student named Mike, as they were fitted with a personal force field generator. "I prefer to call it comprehensive," SILB replied, adjusting the settings. "The key to successful scientific exploration is preparation." As the day of the event arrived, tension throughout the Academy reached unprecedented levels. The main hall had been designated as the venue, with one side allocated to the human students and their pets, and the other side for non-human observers. A transparent barrier had been erected down the middle, though there were designated interaction zones where the barrier could be lowered for those who wished to approach the Earth animals. Principal Zorbnak, a gelatinous being whose translucent body contained multiple nuclei that served as their brain centers, hovered anxiously near the entrance. As the highest authority in the Academy, they bore the responsibility for anything that might go wrong. "Are all safety protocols in place?" Zorb asked Dr. Lim, the head of the xenobiology department, who was overseeing the event. "Yes, Principal," Dr. Lim replied, consulting their datapad. "We have emergency force fields, neutralizing foam dispensers, and medical teams on standby. The pets have all been screened for parasites, diseases, and aggressive tendencies. They're as safe as they can be." Zorb's body rippled with uncertainty. "Let us hope that is safe enough." The event began with a formal introduction from Dr. Lim, who explained the purpose of the Cultural Exchange Day and outlined the safety measures in place. Human students and faculty then entered with their pets, creating an immediate stir among the observing non-humans. The dogs varied in size from tiny creatures that could fit in a human's hand to massive beasts that stood as tall as some of the smaller Academy species. The cats moved with a grace that seemed almost predatory, their eyes scanning the room with an unnerving intelligence. The snakes were carried in transparent containers, their sinuous bodies coiled in patterns that some of the mathematics students found disturbingly elegant. The small rodents, hamsters, gerbils, and guinea pigs were perhaps the least threatening, though their rapid movements and twitching noses caused some alarm among the more stationary species. And then there was the ferret, a long, slender creature that writhed with such energetic unpredictability that even SILB, with all their preparation, felt a momentary pulse of anxiety. Tara Jackson entered with both her dog, Brutus, a massive creature with short brown fur and a box-like head, and her cat, Pancake, a sleek animal with orange and white fur and eyes that seemed to assess everything with a detached superiority. Professor Quivix followed closely behind, carrying a transparent container that housed Noodle the snake, whose scales glistened under the hall's lights. The non-human delegation, led by SILB, stood on their side of the barrier, their various biological systems working overtime to process the stress of the situation. SILB's 3 hearts were beating so rapidly that they created a visible pulsation under their translucent skin. "Remember the plan," SILB whispered to the others. "Observe first from a distance. Document everything. Approach only when you feel comfortable, and only in the designated interaction zones." The delegation nodded, Their diverse appendages and sensory organs focused intently on the Earth animals. For the first rotation, everything proceeded smoothly. The humans displayed their pets, explaining their characteristics, care requirements, and the bond they shared. Some of the braver non-human students approached the interaction zones, though most remained at a safe distance. Silb, driven by scientific curiosity, was one of the first to approach. They chose to interact with Pancake the cat, partly because the feline seemed less overtly threatening than Brutus the dog, and partly because there was something in the cat's gaze that resonated with Silb's own analytical nature. "May I?" Silb asked Tara, gesturing toward Pancake with a tentative tentacle. "Of course," Tara replied with a smile. "Just let her sniff you first. Cats like to get to know you on their terms." Silb extended a tentacle toward the barrier, which was lowered in the interaction zone. Pancake approached, her whiskers twitching as she caught Silb's scent. The cat's pupils dilated slightly, then returned to their normal slitted shape. After a moment of assessment, Pancake leaned forward and gently touched her nose to Silb's tentacle. The sensation was unlike anything Silb had experienced. Soft, warm, and somehow comforting. "She likes you," Tara said, her smile widening. "Would you like to pet her?" Silb hesitated, then nodded. With gentle movements, they stroked Pancake's fur, marveling at the texture and the soft vibration, what humans called purring, that emanated from the cat. "This is not what I expected," Silb admitted, their skin turning a pleased shade of teal. "Pets aren't what most non-humans expect," Tara said, watching the interaction with satisfaction. "They're not just animals we keep, they're family members. They provide companionship, emotional support, and unconditional love, something that crosses species boundaries." Silb pondered this as they continued to pet Pancake. The concept of keeping another species as a family member was alien to most galactic cultures, where interspecies relationships were primarily diplomatic or academic. Yet, there was something undeniably genuine about the bond between Tara and her cat, a connection that transcended biological differences. Other members of the delegation were having similar experiences. Mike, the fungal student, was cautiously interacting with a small rodent called a guinea pig, which made soft, squeaking sounds that seemed to delight them. Even Plick, who had been among the most skeptical, was observing a pair of colorful birds with growing fascination. It seemed the cultural exchange day might be a success after all. But then, as the second rotation began, the incident occurred. It started with Brutus the dog, a whisper student, whose species communicated through subsonic vibrations, accidentally generated a frequency that agitated the canine. Brutus let out a deep, resonant bark that echoed through the hall like a thunderclap. The sound triggered a chain reaction. Several of the smaller pets, startled by the noise, reacted instinctively. A hamster belonging to a first-year human student escaped its enclosure and darted across the floor. Seeing the small, fast-moving creature, one of the snakes, not Noodle, but a smaller reptile named Slither, became instantly alert, its predatory instincts activated. The snake's owner, realizing what was happening, tried to intervene, but in their haste, they knocked over another container, releasing a second hamster into the mix. Now, there were two small rodents scurrying across the floor, with a snake showing definite hunting interest. "Minor inconvenience," called out Dr. Lim, trying to maintain calm. "Please remain in your designated areas while we resolve this situation." The phrase, "minor inconvenience," did little to reassure the non-human students, especially the rodential delegation members who saw the escaped hamsters not as pets, but as kin in peril. One of them, a student named Squeak, activated the emergency alarm. The Academy's automated defense system, programmed to respond to any potential threat, sprang into action. Force fields descended from the ceiling. Unfortunately, separating the humans from their pets in many cases, and creating a maze-like configuration in the hall. Neutralizing foam, a pink, gelatinous substance designed to immobilize without harm, began to spray from concealed nozzles, adding to the chaos. In the confusion, more pets escaped their owners. The ferret, a creature apparently born to create mayhem, slipped through a gap in the force fields and began to chase the hamsters. Not out of malice, but from what appeared to be pure joy. 3 cats, including Pancake, found themselves on the wrong side of the barriers, as did several small dogs. The larger dogs, thankfully, remained contained, though their barking added a cacophonous soundtrack to the unfolding disaster. Silb, who had been near an interaction zone when the chaos erupted, found themselves in the middle of the pet-dominated section, separated from the rest of the non-human delegation by multiple force fields. Their scientific instincts kicked in, and they began to document the behavior of the unleashed Earth animals, even as they activated their personal protective measures. The scene was simultaneously terrifying and fascinating. The pets, freed from their restraints, were not attacking each other or the non-humans as feared. Instead, they seemed to be engaging in what could only be described as play. The ferret chased the hamsters, who had found refuge in a small ventilation duct. The cats batted at the pink neutralizing foam with their paws, seeming to enjoy its jelly-like consistency. The dogs sniffed everything excitedly, their tails wagging in what Silb had learned was a sign of happiness. Even the escaped snake, Slither, was not behaving aggressively. It had found a warm spot beneath a heating vent and had coiled there contentedly, apparently forgetting about the hamsters entirely. But the non-human students and faculty didn't know this. From their perspective, a containment breach was in progress, with predatory Earth species running loose. The panic was reaching critical levels. Amidst the chaos, Silb noticed something alarming. Noodle, Professor Quivix's snake, had somehow escaped its container and was slithering toward one of the hamsters, which had emerged from its hiding place. The snake's movements were purposeful, its forked tongue flicking as it sensed its prey. Before Silb could react, another form darted past them, a streak of orange and white fur. Pancake, the cat, had noticed the snake and was moving to intercept. Silb watched in horror, certain they were about to witness a violent confrontation between predators. But what happened next defied all expectations. Pancake positioned herself between the snake and the hamster, her back arched and fur standing on end. She made a low, growling sound that stopped Noodle in its tracks. The snake raised its head, assessing the cat, then slowly backed away, clearly deciding that the confrontation wasn't worth the risk. Once the snake had retreated, Pancake turned to the hamster. Instead of attacking, she gently nudged the small rodent with her nose, guiding it toward a safer location, away from the snake's territory. The hamster, amazingly, seemed to understand and followed the cat's lead. Silb was stunned. This predator from a death world had just protected a potential prey animal from another predator. It was a behavior that contradicted everything they had assumed about Earth's carnivorous species. As Silb watched, they noticed other unexpected behaviors. The ferret, having given up its chase, was now playfully rolling in the neutralizing foam, covering itself in pink goo. A small dog was gently picking up escaped gerbils by the scruff of their necks, just as it might carry its own puppies, and returning them to their enclosure. And Brutus, the massive dog that had started the chaos with his bark, was now sitting calmly beside a group of terrified photosynthetic students, his large head resting on his paws in a non-threatening posture. These weren't the actions of mindless killers, or even simple animals. There was an intelligence, a sense of empathy in these creatures that Silb had never considered possible. The revelation was interrupted by the sound of the emergency systems upgrading to full containment protocol. The ceiling opened, and a deluge of pink neutralizing foam descended, coating everything and everyone in the hall. The foam, while harmless, was designed to immobilize all biological entities until security personnel could assess the situation. Within moments, the entire hall was filled with pink, gelatinous mounds of foam-covered beings, humans, non-humans, and pets alike. The only sounds were muffled protests and the occasional splat of foam dropping from the ceiling. In the aftermath of what would come to be known as the Pet Incident, or, more formally, Cultural Exchange Day Containment Event 4/27/73, the Academy underwent a period of intense reflection and cleanup. The neutralizing foam, while effective, took 3 full rotations to completely remove from all surfaces, creatures, and ventilation systems. The psychological impact, however, lasted much longer. Therapy sessions were held for traumatized students. The rodential species, in particular, required extensive counseling, though their fear was somewhat alleviated when they learned that no hamsters, gerbils, or other small pets had been harmed during the incident. In fact, the protective behavior of Pancake the cat and other larger pets toward the smaller ones became a central topic of discussion. Principal Zorb Knack convened a special committee to review the events and determine future policies regarding Earth pets in the Academy. Silb, whose first-hand observations had provided valuable insights, was invited to participate. The incident, while regrettable, has provided us with unexpected data, Silb reported to the committee, their skin a confident shade of azure. The behavior of the Earth pets contradicted our assumptions in significant ways. Far from being mindless predators, they displayed complex social behaviors, including protective instincts that crossed species boundaries. "Are you suggesting we should allow pets to remain in the Academy?" asked Zorb, their nuclei pulsating with concern. "With proper protocols, yes," Silb replied. "These animals are an integral part of human culture. More importantly, they might offer insights into Earth's evolutionary pathways that we hadn't considered. The relationship between humans and their pets is unique among galactic species and warrants further study." After much deliberation, a compromise was reached. Earth pets would be allowed in designated areas of the Academy, with strict supervision and enhanced safety measures. A new course on Terran companion species was added to the xenobiology curriculum, with Silb appointed as a student instructor alongside Professor Quivix. In the following rotations, Silb underwent a transformation from a curious student to the Academy's unofficial pet ambassador. They organized controlled interaction sessions, where non-human students could meet Earth pets in a safe, educational environment. The sessions were surprisingly popular, with many students overcoming their initial fear to discover the unique qualities of each pet species. Tara Jackson became Silb's co-facilitator, bringing Pancake to many of the sessions. The cat, with her dignified demeanor and unexpected protective instincts, became something of a celebrity among the non-human students. Even Plick, who had been among the most skeptical, was often seen with Pancake curled up beside them during study sessions. The relationship between pets and non-humans extended beyond the formal sessions. Some faculty members began to see the therapeutic value of these interactions. Dr. Lim, in particular, noted that exposure to pets seemed to reduce stress levels among certain species, leading to improved academic performance. Silb's research on Earth pets became the foundation for their advanced studies in xenobiology. They developed a theory that the unique predator-prey relationship that had evolved on Earth, where predators could form bonds with both humans and potential prey, might offer insights into the development of empathy as an evolutionary advantage. By the end of the academic cycle, the presence of pets in the Academy had become normalized. The initial fear had given way to curiosity, then to genuine appreciation. Many non-human students found themselves looking forward to interaction sessions, and some even formed special bonds with particular pets. For Silb, the journey from fear to understanding had been transformative. Their 3 hearts now beat with excitement rather than anxiety when they saw an Earth pet. Their scientific curiosity had led them to discover not just facts about another species, but a new way of seeing the galaxy, one where the boundaries between predator and prey, between different species, could be bridged through understanding and empathy. As SILB prepared for the next academic cycle, they added a final note to their research journal. The incident that began with fear and chaos ended with a profound revelation. The pets of Earth, like their human companions, defy simple categorization. They are complex beings capable of forming bonds that transcend biological imperatives. In studying them, we learn not just about Earth's evolutionary path, but about the possibilities for connection across the stars. Perhaps that is the most valuable lesson of all. Beside SILB, as they wrote, Pancake the cat purred contentedly, her orange and white fur glowing in the light of distant stars. Outside the viewport, the galaxy spun on, full of wonders yet to be discovered and connections yet to be made. In the heart of the Galaxy Alliance Academy, a new understanding was taking root. One small step toward a future where the term Deathworld might come to mean not a place of fear, but a crucible of unexpected empathy and strength. And it had all begun with pets. Those curious companions who had traveled across the stars to teach the galaxy a lesson in love. The following term, when a new batch of human students arrived with their pets, there was no panic. Instead, there was a welcoming committee led by SILB, their blue skin glowing with anticipation. The incident that had once been seen as a disaster was now commemorated as Interspecies Friendship Day, a celebration of the unexpected bridges that could form between the most unlikely of allies. As for Pancake, she had achieved something of a legendary status. Stories of her intervention during the incident had spread throughout the academy, and young students would often whisper when she passed by, "There goes the cat who faced down a snake to save a hamster." It was a story that would be told for many cycles to come, a reminder that sometimes the most profound lessons came from the most unexpected teachers. In the vastness of space, on a station filled with beings from 1,000 worlds, a small Earth cat had become a symbol of something greater than herself. The possibility that even in a galaxy full of differences, there was always room for connection, for protection, and for love. And for SILB, who had once feared the very idea of Deathworld pets, that was the greatest discovery of all.